Hi everyone, welcome to this Fantasy Premier League edition of Keeping Score. I hope that my last set of videos was able to help you make the kind of teams that you were looking to make. But even if it hasn't, I'm going to be giving you a couple of good advices. We'll be covering the top 5 picks that I think that you should make for this particular game week 2, and also the top 3 picks that I think that you should avoid going into the coming weeks in the fantasy season. But before you do any of that, I would like to put it out there that just because your team did badly in this particular week is no reason for you to basically completely change your team or make drastic decisions or have too many minus points, because I'm sure that you thought about particular players and how they would perform over the course of 5, 6, 7 weeks when you were making this team. So don't make any hasty decisions. Players sometimes don't perform on game week 1 but then do really well in game week 2 and 3. So stick with players that you have faith can perform in the coming weeks. Having said that, let's move on to my top 5 picks. At number 5, I'm going to say you should be looking at Sheffield United, and primarily because Sheffield United not only managed to keep out some of the best attacking assets the Bournemouth had. I'm looking at Fraser and Wilson and a few other guys, but they also started John Lundstrom, who is 4.0, but he started as a midfielder and he had a really good game for them. He got 3 fantasy points. I think if you can get him in at 4.0, it allows you the options to get some much better players in your side, because it saves you a lot of money over the coming weeks. So he's starting, he's going to play, and he might play every game this season. So good chance for you to pick him. At number 4, I'm going to be discussing Liverpool, and I know that Robertson didn't get any points and they managed to end up conceding a goal against Norwich City, but I would still say stick with the premium assets at Liverpool. Alexander-Arnold got a really good assist and he had a couple of chances to score as well. Robertson will also definitely be amongst the goals and assists in the coming weeks, so just stick with them. They had a bad week, but they will reward you in the long term. The next pick is the Everton defenders. I would say that Everton seem to have carried forward the form that they showed last season. Their attacking talents, Richarlison sort of had a blowout, didn't get any points. Sigurdsson didn't get any points, but they both look threatening, so there are people to look at. Calvert-Lewin started, but Moise Kean came on, so it's a bit of a toss-up whether to go for either of those right now, but certainly their defenders look really good. Lucas Digne is a must-have, and if you don't have the money for Lucas Digne, Seamus Coleman came really close to registering an assist in the game, so he looks like a good pick. And I would definitely go for either one of those two over the coming weeks, so they have excellent fixtures. My pick number 2 on the list is Brighton, and because Brighton have gotten an excellent manager, and not just that, I was a bit wary of Brighton going into the season, but the way that they played against Watford, trashed them 3-0, they looked really good. Pascal Gross looked excellent in that match. He's definitely someone to look at. I've already got Matthew Ryan and Lewis Dunk in my team. Shane Duffy with them also looked solid. They're playing 5 at the back. If you don't want to rely on the defenders, on the midfielders and attacking assets right now, you're welcome to wait out a couple of weeks, see how they go. But I would definitely be getting in those Brighton defenders right now, because their fixtures are excellent and their manager seems to have gotten the best out of these players, and they could be the surprise packages of the season, and the defensive assets could increase in value a lot over the course of the coming weeks, and Pascal Gross as well. And David Proper is also an interesting potential asset that you can pick up. I'd probably avoid Glenn Murray because, well, he might score, but they had both of their backup strikers score in this week, so I don't know whether he'll continue to start or not, but definitely get those Brighton defenders into your team. And also for Burnley, get Nick Pope or one of the defenders into your team, because they're also looking really good this season and they're definitely someone to look out for. My top pick for the week is going to be Anthony Martial. I was a bit unsure about where he would start in the United team, but he's playing striker, he's playing up front. United are looking really good this season, and he's 7.5, and United don't have a lot of other options in attack, so he's most definitely going to be starting most games. So I think at 7.5 for a midfielder, you get United's first choice striker who's in amongst the goals and looking good. I would say he's a definite pick to have. Other than him at United, you can definitely look at their defenders. Van Bissaka is the pick of the bunch because they looked really solid at the back, and Maguire and Van Bissaka seem to have made a telling difference in that back line. And not just that, I think Marcus Rashford scored a couple of goals, and definitely for teams that are going to allow United space in behind, Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial can score you a lot of goals, and Paul Pogba can also get amongst the goals and assists. So players to look at, but Martial is the standout pick. For my top 3 to avoid very quickly, I would say all of City's assets except for Raheem Sterling and perhaps someone in their defense. because Bernardo Silva did not start the match. Aguero and Gabriel Jesus both scored over the weekend, so either one of them could start in the next week. And in midfield, it seems like everybody other than Sterling is fighting for their place. Mahrez got a couple of assists, but there's no guarantees whether he plays the next game week because Bernardo Silva might come in for him. So, but if you don't have Sterling and you have the money to get Sterling, or even if you have to move your team around to get Sterling because he seems to be in the form of his life and might be the pick of all of the assets in Fantasy Premier League this season. For number 2, I'd say any Arsenal asset in your team other than Aubameyang for now is a waste because they looked really bad against Newcastle. Pepe didn't start, and generally the team did not seem to show a lot of creative. Basically, they didn't show a lot in attack at all, and their defense only managed to keep a clean sheet because Newcastle were that bad. So, which leads me on to number 1. But in number 2, I would say Aubameyang's probably the only guy in the Arsenal team that should be in your team right now. Anybody else, drop them or don't play them, or if you're thinking of getting Arsenal assets, don't. Number 1, avoid assets from Southampton and Newcastle like a plague, because Newcastle, even though they've signed some excellent players, they managed to outdo all of that by getting in Steve Bruce, who seems hell-bent on not getting them to play at their best. So they're not going to score you a lot of points. And in defense, whilst they look good in patches, they have a mistake in them. And Southampton also got absolutely pulverized by Burnley. And if they can't keep Burnley out at home, I'm not sure how much you can rely on them. Their attacking assets offered absolutely nothing. So definitely those are teams to avoid. West Ham also were really poor. And I had a lot of hopes for Haller and some of their attacking talent. But obviously, City is not the best barometer. So I'd still give them another week to try and prove themselves. But definitely Newcastle, Southampton, you can do without them. Having said that, guys, I hope that this helps you, and I hope you have a much better game week 2 than you had a game week 1. If your game week 1 went poorly, please do not give in. Please do not make drastic changes, and also please do not stop playing. Have a lovely weekend, and sayonara.